This is Yurik's skull. This is the skull of Yurik.
Billy Crystal bought his Spanish-style home in Pacific Palisades in November 1979. At the time, the purchase price was $435,000. The house was originally built in 1936 and offered around 6,700 square feet of living space. It included 4 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, and views of the surrounding hills. For Crystal and his wife, the home was not just an investment. It became the center of their family life. They moved in during the early years of his growing career, and the property quickly turned into a long-term residence rather than a temporary Hollywood address. Over the next several decades, the home remained unchanged in its purpose. Crystal and his wife raised their 2 daughters there. The rooms filled with everyday moments such as school mornings, birthday celebrations, and family dinners. As the children grew older, the house continued to serve as a gathering place. Later, grandchildren visited and played in the same spaces. The property became closely connected to the family's history. While many celebrities buy and sell multiple homes, Crystal stayed in this one location for 46 years, making it unusual in the entertainment industry. During the 1980s and 1990s, Billy Crystal achieved major success in Hollywood. He starred in popular films and hosted award shows. Despite his busy career, the Pacific Palisades house remained his main residence. He returned there after filming and public appearances. The home became a private retreat away from the spotlight. Over time, the neighborhood also became more desirable. Property values increased significantly, and the estimated worth of the house rose to between $8 million and $10 million. The location in Pacific Palisades added to the value. The area is known for its coastal views, privacy, and proximity to Los Angeles. Many high-profile individuals live there, which made the neighborhood prestigious. The house itself, however, remained primarily a family residence. It was not frequently renovated or marketed. Instead, it stayed consistent, holding decades of personal belongings, photographs, and keepsakes that represented the family's life together. In January 2025, a major wildfire broke out in the Pacific Palisades area. The fire spread rapidly due to dry conditions and strong winds. Residents received evacuation warnings with limited time to respond. Crystal and his wife left their home quickly, taking only essential items. The fire continued to move through the neighborhood and destroyed numerous properties. Their house, which had stood for nearly 9 decades and served as their residence for 46 years, was completely destroyed. After the flames passed, the property was reduced to an empty lot. The structure, along with furniture, photographs, and personal memorabilia, was gone. The loss included decades of family history. Although the land itself remained, the home that once stood on it no longer existed. This created a significant change in the property's status. What had once been a valuable house became vacant land requiring major rebuilding. Despite the destruction, the location still held value. The lot in Pacific Palisades remained desirable because of its views and neighborhood. However, selling the property proved difficult. Potential buyers considered the cost of rebuilding. Construction expenses in the area were high, especially after widespread fire damage. Insurance costs also increased, making investors cautious. These factors reduced immediate interest in purchasing the land. Another factor affecting buyer interest was risk perception. Some potential buyers were concerned about future wildfires. The recent disaster highlighted environmental risks in hillside communities. Even though the area remained prestigious, uncertainty influenced decisions. As a result, the property did not receive strong offers. The land remained vacant while the market evaluated the situation. Among the debris, one notable item reportedly survived. Crystal's daughters found a stone with the word laughter carved into it. The stone stood out because most belongings had been destroyed. The discovery became meaningful due to Crystal's career in comedy. While the house and possessions were gone, the surviving object represented a connection to the past. The property today remains an empty lot in Pacific Palisades. The location is still valuable, and the surrounding area continues to attract attention. However, rebuilding decisions and market conditions have slowed any potential sale. The situation demonstrates how natural disasters can affect even high-value real estate. Buyers must consider construction costs, insurance, and long-term risk. The story of Billy Crystal and his home reflects both personal loss and market reality. A house that once represented decades of family life no longer exists. The land remains, but interest from buyers has been limited. The combination of emotional history, rebuilding expenses, and wildfire risk has made the property difficult to sell. In the meantime, the vacant lot stands as a reminder of how quickly circumstances can change, even in one of California's most desirable neighborhoods. Billy Crystal purchased his Spanish-style home in Pacific Palisades in 1979. The house, built in 1936, measured roughly 6,700 square feet and included multiple bedrooms, bathrooms, and outdoor space. At the time of purchase, the price was $435,000, which was considered significant but not unusual for the area. Over the years, the home became the main residence for Crystal and his family. He lived there continuously for 46 years, which is uncommon among Hollywood figures who often change homes frequently. The property served as a center of family life. Crystal and his wife raised their daughters there, and later the home welcomed grandchildren. Daily routines, holidays, and gatherings took place inside the same walls for decades. The home gradually filled with personal belongings, photographs, awards, and memorabilia connected to both family and career. Because the residence remained unchanged for so long, it became closely associated with stability and continuity. During the peak of his career, Billy Crystal appeared in successful films and hosted major events. Despite professional travel and public appearances, he continued to return to the Pacific Palisades property. The house functioned as a private retreat away from the entertainment industry. Meanwhile, real estate prices in Pacific Palisades increased significantly. By the 2010s and early 2020s, the estimated value of the home rose to between $8 million and $10 million, that the neighborhood itself contributed to this increase. Pacific Palisades is known for ocean views, hillside settings, and proximity to Los Angeles. The area attracts high-profile residents and maintains strong property demand. Even older homes often carry high land value. Crystal's property benefited from these conditions. Although the house was older, the land remained desirable. In January 2025, a wildfire broke out in the region. The fire spread rapidly due to dry weather and strong winds. Evacuation orders were issued, and residents left quickly. Crystal and his wife evacuated with limited time. The fire moved through the neighborhood and destroyed multiple homes, including theirs. The structure that had stood since 1936 was completely lost. Furniture, photographs, and personal items were destroyed. After the fire, only the land remained. The lot still held value because of its location. However, selling the property became more complicated. Buyers considered the cost of rebuilding from the ground up. Construction costs in the area were high, especially after a major wildfire when many homeowners needed reconstruction simultaneously. Insurance premiums also increased, adding another layer of expense. Risk perception also affected demand. Some potential buyers were concerned about the possibility of future fires. Even though Pacific Palisades remained desirable, recent events made investors cautious. The emotional association with the destroyed home also influenced decisions. Instead of immediate offers, the property remained vacant. Among the debris, one notable object reportedly survived. Crystal's daughters found a stone with the word laughter carved into it. This detail gained attention because most other belongings had been destroyed. The stone became a symbolic reminder of the family's history and Crystal's career in comedy. The land today in Pacific Palisades remains valuable but unsold. The location still offers scenic views and a prestigious address. However, rebuilding requirements, insurance considerations, and wildfire risk continue to influence buyer decisions. These factors slow the sales process even in high-end neighborhoods. The situation illustrates how natural disasters can change real estate dynamics. A house that once carried both emotional and financial value was reduced to vacant land. The property's future depends on market conditions, rebuilding plans, and buyer confidence. Until then, the empty lot stands as a reminder of both long-term family history and the impact of environmental risk on property value. Following the destruction of the home, attention shifted to the future of the land in Pacific Palisades. Real estate experts noted that while vacant land in this neighborhood is typically attractive, the circumstances surrounding this property made the situation different. Rebuilding from scratch requires planning approvals, architectural design, and significant financial investment. Construction timelines in the area can also extend due to permit requirements and demand for contractors after major disasters. These factors contributed to slower buyer interest and delayed decision-making. For Billy Crystal, the loss also meant deciding whether to rebuild or sell. Long-term homeowners often face emotional considerations after disasters. Rebuilding means returning to the same location and recreating a new home, while selling involves leaving behind decades of history. Such decisions can take time, especially when the property has strong personal meaning. The uncertainty surrounding these choices further contributed to the property remaining unsold. Market conditions also played a role. High-end buyers typically evaluate long-term investment potential. After a wildfire, concerns about insurance coverage, safety regulations, and environmental risk increase. Some buyers prefer move-in-ready homes rather than vacant lots requiring years of development. This preference reduced competition for the property. Even though the location remained desirable, the additional steps required discouraged immediate offers. The surrounding community in Pacific Palisades also experienced similar challenges. Several homeowners affected by the fire faced rebuilding delays. Construction demand increased, and costs rose due to limited resources. These broader conditions affected not only Crystal's property but also other nearby lots. The overall environment contributed to slower recovery and cautious buyer behavior. Despite these challenges, the land still holds long-term value. Pacific Palisades remains one of the most prestigious coastal neighborhoods in California. Properties in the area historically recover over time, especially after redevelopment. Future buyers may view the lot as an opportunity to build a modern home tailored to current design standards. However, until rebuilding becomes more practical, the property continues to sit vacant. The story of Billy Crystal and his former home highlights how natural disasters can reshape real estate outcomes. A property that once held decades of family life and significant financial value is now an empty space awaiting its next chapter. Buyer hesitation, rebuilding costs, and environmental concerns all contribute to the delay. For now, the land remains quiet, reflecting both its past history and uncertain future that in the aftermath of the fire, insurance, and financial considerations became critical. Even with coverage, rebuilding a large home in Pacific Palisades requires navigating complex claims processes, contractor negotiations, and compliance with updated building codes. Many buyers see these hurdles as deterrents, preferring simpler purchases rather than investing in a property with layers of bureaucracy and reconstruction costs. These logistical and financial barriers contribute significantly to the property remaining unsold. Additionally, emotional attachment plays a subtle but powerful role. The Crystal home was not just a house. It held nearly 5 decades of memories, family milestones, and intimate moments. Potential buyers may sense this history and feel a kind of intangible weight, even if they are unaware of its specifics. Emotional resonance can influence market decisions, and in this case, the absence of tangible remnants, aside from a single surviving stone, adds complexity to how the property is perceived. The loss also highlights broader environmental risks in coastal California. Fires, earthquakes, and other natural disasters influence real estate trends, particularly in high-value neighborhoods. Buyers now calculate risk differently, factoring in climate change, fire prevention measures, and long-term sustainability. For some, the risk outweighs the prestige of owning land in a prime location, slowing market activity further. Despite these challenges, industry experts emphasize the potential upside. Pacific Palisades land has historically regained value after reconstruction, and motivated buyers might see an opportunity to create a modern, custom-built home. The lot's proximity to the ocean, schools, and community amenities ensures that long-term demand remains strong. However, the combination of emotional history, immediate rebuilding costs, and disaster-related uncertainty creates a temporary freeze in buyer interest. For Billy Crystal, the situation serves as a reminder that even prominent figures are not immune to the unpredictability of nature and the real estate market. The home's unsellable status is not a reflection of its value or location, but a convergence of factors, financial, logistical, and emotional, that make any transaction difficult. For now, the land remains a quiet witness to a lifetime of memories, standing empty while the world waits to see what comes next. Community and local authorities also influence the future of the property. Zoning regulations, environmental impact assessments, and neighborhood association rules in Pacific Palisades all affect what can be built on the lot. Some buyers are hesitant to engage with these additional requirements, preferring simpler purchases that don't involve lengthy approvals. The complexity of local regulations adds another layer to the unsellable status of the home. Psychologically, the fire has left an imprint on potential buyers. Even in prime neighborhoods, properties that have suffered visible destruction often evoke caution. Buyers worry about hidden damage, soil instability, or future fire risk. Insurance premiums for rebuilding can be significantly higher, further discouraging offers. Despite the prestige of the location, these perceived risks create hesitation that slows market activity. From a broader perspective, the property highlights how disaster events can shift real estate dynamics. Homes that were once valuable and desirable can quickly become challenging to sell when natural disasters intervene. The case of Billy Crystal's former home illustrates the intersection of emotional loss, market uncertainty, and environmental risk. It serves as a real-world example of how even high-profile, well-located properties can remain unsold under extraordinary circumstances. For the Crystal family, the focus has shifted from property value to legacy and resilience. The home, though destroyed, symbolizes decades of personal and professional history. While rebuilding or selling might be considered in the future, for now the lot stands empty, a quiet monument to the passage of time and the unpredictable forces of nature. The story of this home continues to resonate as a reminder of how life, loss, and memory intersect with property and place. The lingering impact of the fire on the property is not only financial but deeply social. In Pacific Palisades, community perception matters as much as location. Neighbors, aware of the destruction, may influence potential buyers' feelings about safety, security, and neighborhood stability. Local real estate trends also show that properties affected by natural disasters often require additional marketing strategies and incentives to attract buyers. Agents might need to emphasize new construction opportunities or modern designs rather than the land's history, but even this approach faces challenges when the property's past is so emotionally charged. Insurance companies, too, play a critical role in the property's current status. High-value homes like the Crystal property often face complex claims for debris removal, environmental hazards, and rebuilding permits. Delays in claim processing can prevent owners from reinvesting or listing the property effectively, adding to the perception that it is unsellable. Rebuilding costs, especially in fire-prone areas, have escalated over recent years, forcing buyers to consider total investment rather than just purchase price. This economic reality intersects with emotional considerations, creating a multifaceted barrier to sale. Moreover, the property underscores the human side of real estate. For Billy Crystal and his family, the home represented decades of milestones, births, marriages, holidays, and simple everyday moments. This emotional weight, coupled with the devastation of the fire, creates a psychological barrier for prospective buyers who may fear occupying a space with such a potent past. Homes are more than structures. They are repositories of memory, and some buyers may sense that intangible legacy, consciously or unconsciously, influencing their decisions. Environmental considerations are another significant factor. Coastal California faces increasingly frequent wildfires, and the Crystal property lies within a zone where fire mitigation measures, evacuation planning, and sustainable construction practices are crucial. Buyers often weigh these risks heavily, sometimes opting for safer, newer developments elsewhere. Even with advanced technology,